Into the second map, I mean, everyone was talking about 2-0s all day, and there is still potential for a 2-0, but that would be an insane upset if Splyce are able to pull it off. And already I like what I'm seeing. Davey has been going for the 2 guns better than 1 mentality on every pistol that we've seen. And keep in mind they did get both of them over on Cobble.
Optic looking like they want to put some pressure on Boost as the bomb is situated out at mid. A couple players are up, and I think what's really common in Cash is we see that CT teams either play retake on A and push B, or get a lot of information either A main with a flash or get a squeaky push going on. And realizing this, Optic, knowing that we have a lot of time on the clock to work with, we'll split up into a default first, which I think it should be the standard meta for T side from like here on out. You know, for like the last like half a year to a year, we've seen a CT push on Cash be so common, or just a stack towards B. And so if you just wait that out, wait for the CTs to fan out, or realize that they aren't looking for information at all, and then pushing into whatever strategy you want to do, you're at absolutely no disadvantage, and probably a much bigger advantage for having that patience. Now we have 2 players at truck that look like they want to just try to tee off here as they play retake. The smoke is obviously going to make them, or neutralize them quite a bit.
Yeah, getting some damage in, but not a clear line of sight to hit those headshots. And no one was actually in A, which is fine. It's very common for people to just play retake, even if it is 5v5, onto that A bomb site. I even like the idea of doubling up on truck, but of course that one smoke that Stan did have, he had the utility that neutralized that setup that Splyce was running.
The issue for Splyce right now is, yeah, they're on a retake, but they don't even have the best retake spots. I mean, they're coming from...
Yeah, no one's on the flank.
No one's on the flank, first of all, and there's a player at mid. Actually goes down. Rush hits a nice shot, though.
Well, Naf will be rooted out of his position there. Over at Forklift, but it won't matter. The trades are all made. Rush and Stan both with 2 frags apiece, and Optic Gaming taking a nice pistol round for themselves.
It seems like the communication is really good on the part of Optic. Their after plant was solid. We didn't see too many people running around, and I think they had that really ironed out. Expecting to be able to take the site for themselves, but then also having a plan once they know that Splyce are ready to retake. Having a player at mid even going down, and then relying on hitting shots seemed to be just fine of a strategy. Here we have some spam coming out from Shazam into mid. Won't know how hurt Jason R is until this nade cleans him up.
It's dead now. 2 nade kills so far, and now the Galil from Naf taking out Davey. So it's just Professor Chaos and Arya left up. Not a lot for them to do. Best situation is that they can get a frag and try to save one of these weapons, but even that is pretty far away in terms of its possibility.
You know, all you have to do here is group and trade. I mean, you have one person, that's Stanislaw, to pretty much lurk, and it seems like on these anti-ecos, he just kind of sits back and gets info, holds B push, or works it by himself most rounds, and I think is afforded the, I want to say, I guess, power to turn his lurk into an entry if he wants to work a site by himself. That's the kind of player you can trust to do that, right? He's very apt when it comes to being alone and then also peeking out into somebody else's angle and getting the frag.
All right, so those submachine guns stick around, the MAC-10 and the AMP. Stanislaw loves the AMP. When we were last year at the CEVO Season 8, I mean, he used that gun so many rounds. And he would keep it into the rifle, so let's see if that habit is still something he has. As it should be a cleanup here for Optic. Again, just pistols, no armor for Splyce. Although they have stacked over into B, and that's where Daps is going. He's the recon player with the MAC-10, so he can afford to do this. And I mean, likely can win the battles anyways. Has already found 2. And everyone's in front of him. 9 HP. I think the ace dream has maybe died. And he did get that P90 ace actually on Cobble too. He's the anti-eco champion right now. Jason R, though, finally puts him down.
Yeah, getting that frag is super important. I'm kind of curious how many people expected or want Splyce to win in this game. I guess you can press 1 if you want Splyce to win.
There you go.
Press 2 if you want Optic to win. Press 3 if you love your mother.
Well, hopefully everyone's pressing 3 as well.
Now, Jason R and Davey don't have much to say, but at the same time want to give themselves the best chance to get a kill. There's absolutely no reason for them to just like run out and die. And actually, there's no reason for Optic to chase them at all. I mean, they're looking at players who have no armor, holding on to a MAC-10 for next round, and I guess throwing caution to win there or Splyce, which makes a lot of sense. We see a lot of like solidarity from Optic on their solidarity, confidence, patience, like even Rush, delaying that bomb plant, watching for a bomb wall. I feel like their communication is actually crystal clear. Now on that first map we saw maybe a couple of guffs, as they mentioned. Davey able to get like 3 or 4 Ks with that Mag 7 along B. From what it looked like from our perspective though, was that would be hard to deal with. But at the same time, I guess if you look at it from Optic's perspective, they think, wow, that should never happen to us.
Yeah. Confidence maybe blinding them a little bit in that scenario when it came to the Mag 7. And here is Stan, as I said. I mean, Daps actually went down with his Mag 10, but Stan survived, so he keeps that ump alive. Abe starting off with the first kill of the round. He brings down Naf. Arya got into a pretty decent spot, or is actually still sitting in a decent spot, going unchecked. There's the double for him. Daps is aware he's there, will go back for the kill, but they're a man down when that trade finally comes in. It's Davey Chaos and Jason up on the defense. Optic with another plant, and it's still a chance to win it. Not really getting the post plants they want. Both these guys kind of stuck on the site. Daps able to back off the quad, though, it looks like.
Yeah, I wanted to say that he could just plant for A main there, but I mean, they had to be worried about big flank, and also there was no way for them to cross back over. This molly might cause a problem, but it's not going to be perfect. I mean, he could actually just move right back in.
Spots the player at Forklift, somehow brings home that kill, has dodged the fire. Not stepping in with just 6 HP, gets his man. That's Jason R going down. Professor Chaos, though, with the USP, realizing he was low.
No
but
kit.
Guess what? There's no kit. He doesn't have time, and he's got to run away from this. He's going to try to pick up some extra, some money there, and he does have armor, so he should be able to survive this explosion.
Oh my
Yes, he
gosh.
does.
Actually having no kit, Daps getting that kill on Davey with such low HP, you wouldn't think he'd be able to win that, and staying really close to that Molotov, not panicking too much, not wide peeking the right side, or the left side, excuse me. All of those elements allowed him to win that round, and Optic come up 3-0. Again, I don't think there's that much to say about the underdog team getting their map advantage, especially maybe like, you know, one of the more commonly played maps like Cache. You know, with a better team overall, you can typically figure it out, especially if you're not execution heavy. Default heavy teams are going to be very versatile, and it seems like this early mid control is going to be a really good answer, though they would be running into Professor Chaos, so I don't know if they know it quite yet. But
yeah,
that isn't something
they're
I want
getting
to
a
see.
lot of people out there, though. 2 people have now dropped off, and they are going in for that B split. Davey playing at the wood box. Actually runs right by one of them. He's gone down. Shazam with the Tech 9 still takes out Jason R. Professor Chaos probably already looking to try to save this op. Abe will actually finish off Rush from a distance, even though he just had a pistol. And that's another gun, so if they can save them both, that would be massive, but already on the hunt. They're looking through A main.
They almost are certainly aware that Professor Chaos is recycling this op. He oftentimes goes squeaky, and the reason that he does that is because you have the most cover for it. You close this door that you know that the other choke point has to make noise before
watch one and
you
listen to the other. Yeah.
Exactly.
And Shazam will take down Chaos, so Op is going and through the wall. Don't know if he saw a shadow, maybe saw a barrel, or just decided to shoot.
That's a vac.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Probably not even completely sure that Abe was there and actually just took that shot. No. Optic coming to this round, will still actually going up against the buy. I mean, it looks like Professor Chaos hanging on to that op or not will not affect his decision to have one on this round. Arya is going to have one as well. We've seen him op and be very proficient with it, and hopefully we'll have them anchoring both sites. One of the issues I think for them will be if Optic wanted through Molly's on B site, and he is soloing there. That was one of the issues that we saw in previous rounds. Or in the previous map, excuse me.
Stan straight up loses that battle. I don't know if he was trying to jump across and bait the shot. No, it's actually Shazam with the op at A, so it was just Stan all alone over at B. Arya went in pretty aggressive, looking into B main, shoots down Stan. Early man advantage now for Splyce, and it will continue to build as Abe finds his first kill. Fighting some Abe punch as he got shot in the face without that head armor, but does find his second frag. That's on Dap, so it's just Shazam and Nafli up 2 versus 5 right now. And Abe with 1 HP is still just peeking this. I mean, he might as well just back off. Be as economically minded as possible. But hey, what do you know? Abe's gonna go out and get another kill. Now he'll be brought down here by Naf. 3 men up still for Splyce. They've got the bomb in their control. It's gone down as they were trying to work their way out of A main unsuccessfully. Naf left alone here in Squeaky, and no one has given him any peeks on the side of Splyce. Not gonna let Naf try to clutch this 1v3.
It's one of the more standard rounds that you could see. It's just like a proper A defense from Splyce. Economically, it's going to be pretty good for them. They get to hang on to an op. They got 2 other rifles. They can actually go and pick up the second op as well once this round is over. And it'll be on Naf to look to do damage. I mean, he's got 20 seconds left. I honestly, if I were him, I could go for this, but the thing is that he doesn't have any nades, which is going to be a big problem. But it seems like they're going to let him get a plant,
he can
actually.
Probably get the plant.
Oh.
He's been spotted.
And that's it. He can go right for it. Oh.
Still clearing. He's trying to win. He's not just trying to get that extra money. And he will get the extra money, but now they've run up as he took a little bit too long to go ahead and plant the bomb after he was spotted. But hey, extra money coming in for Optic. They will definitely be able to have rifles coming out, but Splyce keeping 3 up. I mean, they will profit off of that.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly enough, like they did let him get the plant, and that does give Optic a little bit more money. But Optic aren't exactly hurting for money in the first place, so I think what they are aware of is the fact that their economy was much more fragile. Now it's that 5-1 scoreline where Splyce have managed to get Professor Chaos op as well as Arya. So I mean, it's not the worst place in the world to be, even if they lose this round. But that being said, they also have the best chance to win a second round right here. We saw a really great A hold. It did come down to a bomb plant at the very end, but for most of the round, it seemed like there was no way that they were going to be able to do that. I think the ball is in Splyce's court right now. What Optic want to do is kind of a mystery to me. If they have options still, right? They've tried mid, they tried a full A. The A didn't work so well. Does that mean they want to go back to it late? Does that mean they wanted to go for a B split that worked really? They did that on Eco, however. If they're actually watching that match that we saw versus Splyce, those full B hits can be really, really overpowering. They're able to swarm the op on the site, or if there's an op just like anchoring it by itself.
Yeah, they seem to really like be both on Cash and on Dust too. Like some of the harder sites to go into, but they were doing it without any problem. So yeah, we saw they got those Molotov takes set up. So they definitely do have some set executes to work with. And I think this pause is, I believe Rush might have timed out. So I think it's just technical, not necessarily tactical, as it would be a bit early. I guess you get 1 per half, but I don't see why Optic would pause after dropping just 1 round. They're going to have their rifles again. Their money is more than okay. Stand is up just under 12K, but also Splyce coming in with the full buy. We've got Arya and Professor Chaos with their ops, so there's a lot of versatility with your double op setups on Cash. I mean, 1A, 1 mid, 1A, 1B, of course. I mean, you could do any combination of that.
Yeah, there's lots of room for you. I mean, you want to keep them fairly spread apart so that if you have a support rifler, they have somewhere to go, as opposed to having 2 ops like as 2 players beside each other. They can't really support each other. And here's Suzam looking for the aggressive pick in A main. Jason R playing up close by the action. We've seen him hold really, really great angles at mid. Ones that he can be confident in, and there he is getting that first kill. Pushing across the smoke with help from his teammate, who he does end up trading out. And it's looking favorable right now with 2 players at mid. Professor Chaos at A.
Yeah, let's see what he can do at fence. He's turned around, trying to dodge these flashes, and he doesn't. He's facing the wrong way as they peek over, but no one checks it, and he doesn't shoot. Now he's able to spin around and get 2, hitting these 180 scopes. He went for the 360 no scope yesterday, didn't quite land it, but it would have been insane if he did. Here's Rush in a 1v2. He's already killed 2 men. Now let's see what he can do from here. As Jason R is still up, and while it will be a little bit slower, Jason R, I mean, how similar is that position, playing close, pushed up mid, to where he was on Cobble at A almost every single round, playing on the outside of that CT slope, very, very close off angles. It's like an identical position. He won almost every battle on Cobble, and we already see him starting off strong with 2 kills here, playing aggressive at middle.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he could be anywhere at mid, but since he's always there, right, he's always at risk of getting pre-fired, for example. But because he has that smoke down, he's playing a very smart spot. Also, the angle that he holds on boost, if people aren't fully aware of it, it's hard to notice. And he found a really great lineup for it, to the point that it allows him to get a kill for free most of the time. Now rushes in a 1v2, bomb goes down. He has a smoke out, and this is going to allow him a lot of versatility in this clutch.
Yeah, Arya coming around from the bomb wall. Might not expect the gap, but it looks like Rush, is he going to give it up? The smoke's not going to be lasting too much longer now. He's going to have to backtrack to get to some cover. And there he does. He does find Arya jumping across, does manage to land the spike! Either sound cues or seeing him through that smoke. Spots Jason R, hits the headshot. Beautifully done. Rush with a 4K from a 1v2 position. So very, very well played. And that's a round that really hurts to lose if you're Splyce, having gone up I believe it was, they had a 5-man to 3-man advantage.
Oh my god, and what a round from Rush, actually getting those 2 headshots right at the end, and it seemed like he was using most of his bullets up on that first guy, and then turning it around to a first bullet headshot on the second, and you know, Splyce actually waited that smoke out, which I think was going to be the biggest problem for them, but they didn't wait it all the way out, and they were hoping Rush was going to make a mistake and make some other play except for a play behind it. And he did pretty much the only thing that would have been the biggest thorn in his side, and turned it into a round win for his team in a situation where Splyce were relying on double op setup. So yeah, that's a huge victory for them.
Man, Professor Chaos and I think it was Abe were practically one person out there in the middle the way they were peeking, and they almost got 2 for 1 by Shazam's op. He does op 1, Tech 9's the other. So 7-1 now. Splyce in a position, well, still not even a great position. Of course, Professor Chaos and Jason R can buy, but Abe and I think it was Arya are going to be a little bit poorer.
Abe and Davey, yeah, just
well,
a couple of FAMAs.
Arya got dropped, or Arya dropped the FAMAs rather. He got dropped the op. But they're all poor now, so that's a rough place to be in. The losing bonus, this will make 3 rounds, so it's not even gone that high. If they lose this, they will be forced into an eco round.
Yeah, no, Cache is a map where rotations are super important, but you can make the rotation super long by taking mid control as a terrorist. So if you do grab mid and you do take down 1 or 2 people, suddenly the round is so much harder than if you kill 2 people at A and you take the site. If you have people at mid to support, they can be there fast enough that to make it seem like you're actually stacking A, and that's why we see mid to look to, or Optic to look for mid control, as Shazam is kind of out by himself, but has got a lot of information as well. Vent isn't completely clear, and I hope that isn't called.
Well, I saw that smoke come over from White Box. Tries to throw a flash onto Davey, but it's actually Davey who peeks out and just kills Daps. So another 5-on-3 from Splyce. The last time they were in this situation, they actually did drop it. This one, though, it's a little bit more commanding, and now it's just Shazam and Naf. The bomb's gone down. Abe very much in control of that. Naf trying to work out of Squeaky, not having any luck. And Abe is like the champion of this squeaky door position. He always works it on the T side, and he holds it like a boss when he's on the CT side.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We see him like go in Squeaky as a terrorist, get a kill, and whenever he's on the A site, work it really well. One of the benefits of playing like mirror positions on CT and T side, it's like you know exactly how someone is going to use it. Yeah, exactly. And you know what people hate when you go there. And now Splyce put out a second round, and they kept almost everyone alive. So I'd say that not only are they fortunate to win that, but I think they've really changed the entire pace of the half.
Well, Arya was running into trouble, missed his first shot, was able to fall back. Now lands one here onto Stan. Shazam hoping to opt that, but the smokes will start going down. Let's see if Arya's going to try to look for a gap. He does, and I don't know. That was maybe a bit too aggressive. He'll fall to Rush, and now it's 4-on-4. Always going to be in favor of those terrorists.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, he got the opening frag, and then, you know, that crack in the smoke, it's, you know, maybe it seems like, ooh, I can beat this crack in the smoke, but it's all too obvious to terrorists who have nothing else to watch. And on top of that, you know, it's 5v4, so why run that risk for your teammates who now have to scramble around to pick up the slack, especially considering you had an op and you were an anchor on the site. Now they have an anchor at B, who is a rifler with 20 HP.
They also just lost eyes on mid as the smoke went down into Z, and that forced Davey to rotate. He's kind of just floating around, not really in that good of a position. But Abe with a nice shot onto Naf.
Ooh, actually picking a bad site here, but Shazam getting 2 frags is huge. Now Davey and Jason are super hurt on a rotate. Shazam with an op is going to make this retake more than difficult, I feel like.
Yep, so plan for A main. Shazam will watch A main with that op. Both of these, actually one from truck, one coming up from highway, but they're so low, it will be near impossible for them to do this. Rush playing back at quad. Should be easy battles for him.
Yeah, maintaining that 5v4 seems to have haunt them a little bit. Is Rush going to get that first kill? And this second one should be offered up as well. They don't want to let Jason R save, and are going right for it. Now Splyce are still at 2 rounds here, and yeah, it's tough. Like sometimes it does come down to just that one kill, you know, but ultimately they did go to the wrong site and still lost, right? They still went to the site with 2 people and then were able to kill both people there. But that's not really the point. It's about playing out rounds in a way that's sustainable, right? Playing your rounds out as 80% rounds as opposed to 20s. Now Splyce are going to be playing 5 mid.
Yeah.
potentially counter boosting, but it looks like they're running into a default from Optic, so Daps should be dedicated watching this.
Yeah, there are those 5 nades, 2 of them going over the boost, 2 of them going into the lower mid room, hoping to get all that early damage, make it that much easier to finish people off with pistols, but they did 0 nade damage, and while they were boosting, they took a ton themselves. Arya's down, and there's more nade damage onto Jason R. Abe's just going to start walking through. He's going to try to hold this angle. Does get, it looks like, a dink, but Stan still holding his ground. Jason R going to go in and get aggressive. He's somehow still alive. He actually gets the kill. We go back to Daps. He kills Davey. The nap onto Jason R. Shazam closing out the round. Only rush to go down. Another big economy building round for Optic. Probably good for rifles for like the rest of this half. Actually, no, not as much money as I had thought.
You can almost never have enough money for like
Yeah.
4 rounds. You know, it's crazy how fast you can deplete 16K a person. It's like only a matter of like 3 buys per sometimes, but then you do get the round bonus to help you out. So we do see that be a dynamic state in the game. And now Splyce don't have that 2-op setup, but it didn't even work for them, right? Like they had 2-op setup for a couple of rounds. They really didn't even win rounds where they had the double ops most of the time. And now Davey actually going for that fast counter boost once again. Maybe it'll go unaccounted for. We do have a push from Squeaky. We have A main control, Squeaky control, and mid control. This is going to be a hard site to defend.
Yeah, so Optic's got site control though, but everything around them has fallen. They are stranded right now with a bunch of hungry CTs trying to run in. Rush very blind. Him and Daps almost in identical spots. Trying to slide over to Quad. Hits his shot without even taking any damage. Now with a nice pop flash out. Actually flashes Daps, but he's safe. Man on highway, that stand. Davey taking him down over the toxic barrels. Rush with a 3K. There's Daps helping out, and somehow they were able to defend this. Chaos, unless he could do the impossible. There's the first kill. Time's getting low, and the plant is for highway right now, and yeah, Chaos will just have to run away.
It's truly hard not to harp on how terribly that was played from Splyce, because like even if they were to look, oh, that almost killed them.
Wow, that nade.
Even if they're able to look at that round for themselves, like they should be like it should be blatantly obvious to them that the fact that they took all those 1v1s in a 5v3, the fact that they had all the best rotator spots, they had A main control, they had Squeaky control, they had mid control, and yet nobody could trade 1 for 1 because they were peeking out 1 at a time. There's pretty much 3 spots on the entire site. There's quad, there's default, and then there's site blocks that they can play. That's the total amount of spots they could be in, and they won 3v5. That's pretty ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, not a good showing from Splyce on that round, as Optic are very much back in the driver's seat, as I think most people would have expected coming into this. If you haven't just joined us, the series indicator is in the bottom of the screen there. Splyce did take that first map Cobble on OT, and here's another explosive take onto this A site. Nothing able to stand up to the power of Optic, and will they be aware? I mean, smoke kind of in no man's land. Look at Arya, he's going sneaky with the FAMAS. 2 kills, does drop the bomb. And maybe giving Davey and Jason R some hope on this round. They've got a little bit of utility. They got some 5.7s, but they couldn't do it when Optic Gaming had the worst post plants, and now they actually have some pretty good ones. So running in somewhat blind. Nap going to take down 1 and 2. Headshot onto Jason R. Optic Gaming pushing in now further to the double digits.
No, looking like a brand new team on a map that they didn't want to be on. So.
Yeah.
Who knows why that is? You know, we can look at the fact that Optic won the economic game, but also the fact that Splyce were able to save ops on many of the rounds, try them again with their setups on low buys. They're able to win 2 rounds that were relatively good. Like one of them was, you know, a last limb buy that if they didn't win it, they would have to double save, and managed to do it. But they only have 2 rounds in total to their name on CT side, and this is supposed to be a map that they feel most confident on.
Well, Arya getting some early damage in there onto Naf. Still not able to find his kill. Flash is going out. Now a man's worked himself over top the shed. That Stan drops onto the sandbags, takes out Arya. Splyce going for some counter boosting. Looks like they went for information play, push 3 over at B, and now they're coming back in the loop-de-loop. Trying to get that mid control. Look at Naf still in the smoke. Catches a glimpse of Chaos and shoots him down. Jason R left in a 1v4. 2 rounds remaining in the half.
The concept of momentum-based maps is so abstract, right? It's really hard to it's really hard to talk about in the sense that it's hard to look at a round and say, you know, this is a round that's a result of having momentum. But here we see Optic, you know, looking like they had control throughout, playing the round out pretty quickly. A lot of people taking initiative by themselves because they feel confident in their ability to, you know, frag the other team. And it's almost like on this round, when you're up this many rounds, you barely have to say anything out of spawn. All your teammates know what they can get away with and what they can do. And it's Splyce who are at a confidence disadvantage.
And they're about to be at a big round disadvantage. If they can maybe hold Optic Gaming at 12, there's some hope, but you get up in those 13, 14 numbers and it's pretty much depleted. And all FAMASs, that doesn't really bode very well going into this, but at least they will try to pull out a very powerful position, and they do it very quietly.
Did Abe make a noise there? I'm not sure.
I didn't hear anything, but...
Sometimes if you jump up on these single boxes and you tap crouch, when you jump up and you don't need to, you can make noise when you didn't have to in the first place. So if you think it's a jump that you can make without crouching, pro tip, try it.
It's probably some YouTube channel that you could get some tips on for jumping, and I can't think of it right now.
It's probably like youtube.com/jumping.
Yeah, that's probably it. But Naf has fallen. It's Abe that got that kill, and they still have no idea about where Arya is playing, and Davey from the spot that got a lot of use on day one, finds the 1 kill. Somehow he's still alive. Everyone was a bit blind, but they know exactly where he is. They're throwing in the fire. They will peek him. Shazam gets that kill. Rush elsewhere, bringing down Jason. That was a kill also from B. Here's Abe on the flank. He takes down Shazam, who is hiding up under the blue tarps. And, oh, Rush from in sight. Nice shot there. Arya was still trying to spam into checkers to no avail. No one stand is pretty low. And, well, Rush, the man on the site, stand in the better spot for the post plant. No one going to give Arya the time of day.
Quiet in the site here as Arya moves in. A nice angle being held though by Stanislaw, just not being cleared. You know, there are some great angles that you can hold if you do a great job visualizing, putting yourselves in the other team, in your opponent's shoes, excuse me, and knowing that if they get, you know, they'll clear the angle up until this point.
Your opponent's gloves.
Your opponent's gloves.
It's more relevant to the recent patch.
But when they get to like headshot, for example, that they've got to worry about other angles. And if you pick that angle, you know, it takes a lot of you know, offline practice and just knowing, or and a lot of great visualization skills. But if you can do that, then you can find angles that with 10 HP you can hold comfortably.
And that was one of them, right there.
That was one of them, yeah.
I mean, the only thing you left it open to is if the player was going to come in through the vents. But I guess they had a pretty good idea that he wasn't coming that way. And even if he did, Rush then had the angle from sight to the vents that he could probably have won on full HP. So very well played in the after plants. Even when they were in the worst situation, 3 men stuck on A site with 5 members of Splyce trying to retake, they still held on to that, looking like a completely different team. Maybe just because the Mag 7 hasn't made an appearance here on Cash. Definitely not as exploitable on a map like this.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure we've seen Davey play really well. It's obviously a joke in some senses, but it's been more than individual efforts. I feel like that have been the problem for Splyce. I mean, you know, looking back at just one of the rounds where a single person made a push when they were up in numbers, costing them the round, resulting in a 2-for-1. You know, it's something you can look back on. It's really about who makes the least amount of mistakes, and if Optic are, you know, playing with really good communication and trading a little bit better without being greedy, then they're going to look back at a half that was pretty much half rifle rounds and half free ecos, and it's going to make it seem like a huge stomp when it came down to just a couple of mistakes from the other team.
All right, so the second half starting in just a moment. It's pretty obvious that Splyce needs to win the pistol. If they don't, it's almost a certainty that we will be going to map 3. And we're off. A bit of utility. Professor Chaos and Arya with 2 smokes. The rest with some armor. And of course, Abe and Davey have been made into those raid bosses. So has Rush with his 5-7. Damp's going to be the one with the nade and the kit. Stan with the smoke. So let's see what they can do. It's a pretty heavy B-side stack. Really expecting that rush, and not a big surprise. Seems to be everyone's go-to, just play retake on this A side.
Yeah, you know, you have to trust yourself to be able to do it. You've got a bit more time to do it now. You know, the fact that Teeth come out and plant the bomb actually makes it a little bit less viable. It's something people might have to look at, teams might have to look at in the future as being an option that isn't quite as good anymore because of the bomb timer.
Shazam's actually found a really nice spot.
Yeah.
Now they're going to start pushing in, though. Jason are only able to get one from back in the quad position. CT swarming onto the site. Davies, though, still lurking around in the smoke. Here's Abe with only one kill. It's Davey who's up alive, using almost all of his bullets. And there's Stan with a quick frag, not letting it get out of hand. And they do have the time rush with that kit.
Oof,
and
super close.
That's rough. That's 14-2.
Yeah, I mean, you do play retake on A. It almost comes down to that every time, but with a professional team that's had to do it in practice over and over again, you see more often than not the CT team do it, and it's contingent on them staying alive until the point that they get to retake. So for Splyce, their best bet to win is to get the most prime after plans, meaning someone on a big flank or either pushing out even farther than the site for further map control. Like if they had highway, for example, say they kill the one man on a highway and they get the highway box, well, suddenly the truck guys take too long to get into A, and even if they don't hit all their shots, it's still a much harder round to win.
All right, so, I mean, doing what they got to do. You can see since they did grab a few kills, they did plant the bomb in the first round. Davey's able to get himself an AK. The rest of these guys, and Jason R dropping that, of course. Davey throwing over a Tech 9. So Jason R has some extra firepower and a decent amount of utility. So a pretty good chance here, but everything rides on this. If they lose this round, they're going to be extremely broke. It'll be a round with even less value than this in it. And, well, Optic also with the scout and 2 rifles themselves should be able to hold on to this. Keeping their very, very far angles, expecting, I mean, you have to expect the Tech 9s coming out. They don't want to be anywhere near them. Nice smokes going down. There is a little bit of a gap with the X-ray off. You can see Stan seeing some of them. Does find a kill onto Jason R as they're crossing, but bomb being planted again. More money, that's going to be important. No, it's not. Rush with the nade. That's going to stop the bomb from going down. Nav tries to push through. Suddenly Splyce, Davey with the 2K, Abe finding one with a Tech 9. Bringing it into a 2-on-2. And another opportunity to get that bomb down. Davey up on top of Forklift. Nice shot onto Shazam. Adapts, takes him down from truck. And if Abe, he's got a shotgun for right now. Can he trade out for anything else? He will actually just go ahead and use this Tech 9. He'll have a little bit more range. Now he's found himself an AK peeking off of the forklift. He's been spotted. Daps falling off the E-box, and Abe does it. Keeping Splyce alive, and it's Abe in all of these key rounds. And almost every map they've played.
Yeah, that was actually a bit of a mess up by by Nafly pushing in through that smoke with that Mag 7. I think he would have delayed longer for the retake, but he assumed that his team was just pretty much going to win the round, getting all the kills, and then 3 people died simultaneously. So I want to say it was like a lapse of judgment, but it was almost warranted his push if he was there to trade sooner. But the fact that he did it as his teammates were dying was a big reason they were stuck in that 2v2 and lost the round. But Optic, with a 4-13 lead, do have room for mistakes. I mean, I hate to say it, but Splyce are the ones that have afforded them that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And Optic not really investing too heavily. A couple nades. Chaos is in a great spot. Finds 2 real quick. Take out the 3rd, though. There's Naf. Brings him down, gets himself a Tech 9. Maybe find 1 kill with it. Try to get out of this round, saving one of these rifles. And you can see Professor Chaos, of course, working alone because he didn't have anything to give up. He just had that Tech 9, so being that recon player. And all the rifles are going to move into B.
Tom Clancy.
And this will be a pretty tough retake. I mean, they've got a nade. No one's really low enough. They won't stop the plant like they did in that last round. Shazam peeking from upper. Rush trying to get some spam through. No one playing at that checker box, though.
Yep, Splyce picking the right side again. I wonder what their odds are on T side. If let's say they finish this, they finished last half 10-5. What their odds would be coming into this half as terrorists? How many rounds would you expect them to win? I mean, they did end up winning the eco force up. Got a plant here on the 2nd round.
Oh, friendly damage. Making it a little bit more expensive. Rush tries to go in for one more opportunity, but Abe will take him down. So Splyce chaining some together, something they were completely unable to do. Both of their wins, their own respective islands in that first half. Shot of the players, no one looking too incredibly hyped right now, as Optic can still remain calm with their lead, and Splyce just got to be extremely focused right now. They got to keep that energy inwards towards the game and not out with Davey shouting stuff at people.
There's nothing for them to cheer about at this point. Optic obviously had such a dominant half overall. You're about to hit the run boost. Do it nice and smooth.
It was close, though.
And with 3 people on A, I mean, Abe is going to be working this squeaky door. That nade not as effective as it could have been, but
I don't know if he can actually bounce it all the way over. And we saw Abe with some pretty funny plays here at the door the other day, but Shazam having none of that funny business. Shoots him in the face, has got himself an AK. No armor with it, but hey, at the end of the day, even if they lose this round, Shazam can try as hard as he can to save that gun. And maybe even, yeah, if Daps could have got those kills, an opportunity to win it 4-on-4, they're still going to go in for this retake with their pistols.
I feel like that angle was pretty
Stan
safe.
actually just ran straight through that smoke.
Yeah, I feel like that angle was pretty safe that Daps was peeking or clearing it up until the point that you could see like in the entirety of B main. So like if he peeked it flat into the box, there's only like maybe 2 people that he could see, but since he cleared it so wide, he really put himself at risk of just facing too many people. But these are just small plays that are being made for single kills and not rounds. And there's Shazam faking Squeaky, but along with A main, it will be cleared. And it will be hard for him to hold on to this AK. I don't think he has any armor either as well to help himself out.
Yeah, and Splyce are not making the same mistake that their opponents, Easy G, did on day 1 or 2. I can't even remember which at that point, but letting Professor Chaos save in that room every single time. They were instantaneously on the hunt. They were going to beat Shazam, actually, to Squeaky Room, and one was already about to come out of A main, so they stop him from preserving that AK. Which, I mean, it's still going to be a full round coming in for Optic Gaming, but any gun saved is going to be a big boost to your economy.
Yeah. Now, Optic moving to this round, it's going to be first buy versus buy of this half, and it could be very telling. If they win this, they most likely win the game. If Splyce win it convincingly, we might see a new Splyce with a breath of life here, but Shazam sucking that life out of them quickly with that shot onto Professor Chaos, who they needed to look for to have impact. Arya picking up the op in exchange. But
I mean,
now
always nice when you have 2 capable oppers. It sucks to go down a man early, but at least Arya can pick up that op and still be capable with it. He's been playing some solid games here at the Minor Americas qualifying event.
It makes his job harder, the 4v5, to pick up the op second, because now Optic Gaming have almost no incentive to give up an extra pick, right? We'll hopefully play with more discipline than we saw from Splyce in the first half and not do anything aggressive like 5v4. And if we see that, it's a truly passive setup at this moment. I mean, Shazam can hold his angle as long as he wants. It's probably not going to be a problem for him. And yeah, getting another shot off as well as Arya tries to trade him.
Oh, and Abe's getting baited really hard. Yep, rocking right into the crosshair of Stan. And who was that in the sight? That was Nafly that was baiting him in. And Shazam making his rotation over as Davey, Jason R starting to make some noise over at B. And that's where the bomb will go. Will Davey check this first box? He does, but unfortunately gets very, very blind in the process. Rush able to peek out and get 2 frags, and that's Optic Gaming on to match point.
Excellent flash from Rush and both kills as well, and they just shut it down. Like Shazam getting those 2 picks at mid, and ultimately Splyce forfeiting it, like relying on their op to open it up by themselves, and now are on match point. We're most likely going to be seeing a 3rd map here. We have a relatively broken buy with Galil's lone nades. We do have an op on Arya, but they haven't. There's very little solace for them in this half. They don't know what they can get away with on rifle rounds, and they haven't done it on the only rifle round that they played.
And this rifle round might be ending just as quick as it started here. Davey and Abe down real quick, and both of them on different sides of the map too. So there wasn't even an idea of, hey, let's get aggressive and maybe try to find a trade. They just both lost their battles.
Like Daps has got to have the worst aim on the team and has had an insane couple of maps already. So you know, with Daps playing that well, and that's not even a shot at Daps considering you're playing on a team with, you know, Rush, Nafly, Shazam, and Stanislaw. Like this is a very, very strong team.
So Splyce gonna work as hard as they possibly can, bring this back from a 3v5. Arya found Daps. His butt was sticking out a little bit there, but unfortunately couldn't hit the shot. He wouldn't make a very good Cupid. Still trying to just get anything, just Optic Gaming, looking for them to make a mistake, but they will not do it. They are holding tight here on the A site. It's going to be Professor Chaos. That's going to have to work out. They're going to try to trade that, and they don't even have to. He gets them both with the Galil. Chaos. Very nicely done. Naf going to move in somewhat aggressively. Is this player from Fort going to be able to spot it? Actually, Naf will just move through the smoke and a little bit of timing. Arya is, wow, he is so aware of this. Beautifully done. Does still allow Naf to get 1, and then Arya hitting the frag, immediately taken down by Shazam. That leaves Jason R alone. 1 versus 2 right now. Also holding out inside of the smoke. Starting to get some spams. I don't know if Stan realizes he landed those shots. And that smoke can't be lasting too much longer. But Jason R does turn, gets stand. Shazam was able to get up top with that 5-7, and that's going to be that. Optic Gaming taking map 2 of Cash, 16-5, and each of these guys winning the other team's map pick.
A relatively quiet victory there, just overall dominance, coming away with the pistol, yeah, getting ecoed, but being 1 round away from match point. I mean, we're pretty safe throughout. We saw so many mistakes from Splyce that they weren't able to fix as we saw the rounds play out. And now we'll move into a 3rd map. We'll hopefully be better than that one. We saw so much more potential out of Splyce in the first one on Cobble. And again, I hope to see a really much more exciting 3rd map after Splyce have lost their map pick.
Yeah, see where everything kind of falls, because the first map, like, it was very closely fought. It was probably pretty exciting to watch, but that's only really because Optic Gaming was not really living up to their standard that they had set on Cobble. Splyce was playing all right.
And Splyce were playing pretty well. I mean, they were they were calling good setups, like on CT side. I think there's a lot of good things to say about them. I don't think it was just that Optic weren't playing that well, but I think the reads were really cool, that map, from both teams.
Yeah, Optic started off so strong, actually. It was, and Splyce able to make that comeback was pretty neat. But then hopefully Mirage will be like the best of both worlds. Both teams will be playing fantastic. It's going to be really close all the way to the finish. But, I mean, who knows? Shazam. It could come down to the ops on Mirage, always with the long lanes, op in middle, op at A, or op at B. And they got 2 of them available on Splyce. But let's see what the guys think of that match. See what, I believe it is Blue down there, Blue, Scoots, and Richard have to say.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That is correct. It is myself, Blue, and Richard Lewis.
I'm Moses. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You swapped names, didn't you?
You are not Creamy Moses, though.
I
for the record.
Yeah, I
There's
got to
only
call
one
him
Lord.
Yeah,
Lord
Moses.
Creamy Moses. So, again, Optic brings it, does it.
That's what should have happened in the first map.
Yeah.
That's what should have happened in the first map. That was the logical thing that should be happening, right? You know, Splyce kind of just running around like headless chickens, getting wrecked. That's how it should have been on map 1, right? So I don't know what's happening here. Like, have Splyce kind of, you know, gone all out on the first map, all that screaming, all that energy, then you hit that adrenaline dump, and then you struggle moving forward to really get anything going, or whether it's Optic have actually reset. I mean, you know, it's like Hector was joking with us going, there's a 30-day return policy on CS teams, right?
He kept his receipt, he said,
Yeah,
so he was ready.
You know, so I don't know if they've had some motivation there, but I mean, or whether it's just the map. Very hard to call because Splyce weren't really ever at the races here.
Yeah.
The problem is that, again, a lot of these teams rely on momentum so much. Optic much less so now that they've sort of developed more as a team, but Splyce still very much so. So the problem is again, they don't even really get themselves started off very well on that map. Optic's immediately competing against them, where they had a bit of an edge going back into Cobble, and they were competing back and forth with them. But the fact that they're just getting like wrecked consistently by the members of Optic, there's no screaming going on. We didn't hear any of it in that map anymore. They were very much just silent. They concentrated a lot more, and suddenly the attitude became much more grim, which I think hurt the team quite a bit.
There was a character on TV in the UK called Swiss Tony, a comedic Swiss Tony, comedic invention of the Fast Show, and he always he was a car salesman, and he used to compare everything to making love to a beautiful woman. That would be basically how we'd start a sentence. Yeah. Well, let me say, playing a game of Counter-Strike is like making love to a beautiful woman. You should pay attention to this, boy. You don't want to expend all your energy right at the start. You know, you want to save a little bit for the hard yards later on. I think Splyce are finding that out. You feel me?
Yeah, definitely so. And again, we always talk about momentum in this game, good and bad, like getting out of being down and resetting, or not getting too cocky, too excited. And like they left this building very excited, Splyce, after that first map.
Very excited.
But again, no one's out.
No.
Going to a 3rd map, and we will talk about it in detail. It is Mirage, but again, ironically, they both lost the maps they both chose.
Yes.
Doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does.
It happens a lot in an A, actually,
yeah,
if we're being honest.
I mean, maybe it's a toss-up. I mean, again, yeah, I mean,
We've seen it in this tournament.
I'm trying not to keep saying that. It's NA, it's NA, but
eventually it just becomes the truth, unfortunately, as it is.
So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to ask these guys some questions about Mirage, and then we're going to bring you that last map. We're going to see, finally, who's going to take on Enemy. Did have a quick chat with the Enemy guys after map 1, and they absolutely would rather play Splyce, regardless of anything else. So, they even with Optic losing, this was between the maps, they're still more nervous about Optic, which does make sense on paper. You would be more nervous than Optic. Okay?
Yeah, I don't blame them. I think Splyce have punched well above their weight. I think Optic were terrible in the first map, and I think normal service is going to resume. The brutal reality is about to be realized.
There you go. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Join us on April 1st through the 3rd at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Watch the best teams in Counter-Strike Global Offensive go head-to-head for a guaranteed prize pool of $250,000.
He could be able to get this. Got the ace clutch! Shazam!
Teams like Fnatic, Envious, Virtus Pro, and many more will be there. Be sure to check out the VIP package for the ultimate esports experience. Buy your tickets now at mlg.tv/csmajor.